Guys, thank you for coming today. It brings me really a lot of pleasure here to once again, for the second time, offer our great panelists, great companies and partners to come here and talk about a couple different important topics, but namely around the opportunity that's at the intersection of healthcare, data, media, and AI, and as applied to connected TV. We are so excited to have everybody here today again for another amazing discussion here. The topic, as I mentioned today, that we're really going to be covering is about the opportunity to really collaborate at that intersection for really bringing on the future of healthcare marketing. There are obviously a lot of trends here, and a lot of those trends that we have at play today are bringing about the shifts in consumer behavior towards streaming more. People are obviously consuming more content off the big screen. We're also engaging more with free ad-supported television. So we have to be super deliberate about the tools that we create for the healthcare marketers in the audience today. Health information is one of the most important topics and one of the most important tools that we have in the public health arsenal. We saw this happen in just the importance of it during the pandemic, when as an industry, we had to come together and help deliver messaging to individuals across the entire country about the efficacy of new drugs, of new vaccines. And so just to that point, the tools that we're developing here at DeepIntent bring me a lot of excitement, I'm deeply passionate about it, the whole team is. It's super important that we can take every opportunity to connect with patients across the country in meaningful ways. And there's no better way to do that than on the big screen. And so we're super excited to have all you guys here in the room to have really deep discussions about what's possible at that intersection of health, data, AI, and media, specifically with CTV. So I'm not going to bore you guys a lot of statistics. I think we all know that there's two big trends happening right now in the industry. There's obviously, since the growth of the pandemic, we've seen more and more streaming. More connected television is being consumed by consumers across the country right now at a greater and greater rate. In fact, adults 50 and over, 79% of them are streaming at least once per month. And so the opportunities that are obviously coming online to help reach those obviously very rich audiences and very important audiences for our brands, only continuing to come on in a stronger and stronger clip. But everybody knows about the growth of streaming, but what we're also perhaps not talking enough about is the growth of free ad-supported television. And so kind of happening in conjunction with this growth in streaming, we are seeing more opportunities to reach and influence these individuals with targeted advertising powered by platforms like ours. And so what we're seeing here is over 140 million individuals across the country can now be reached through free ad-supported media. And so the tools that we're building are going to help connect our brands with the publishers here and the partners in across our platform. So the thing that we had learned over the past year, and this has not been a straight and linear, no pun intended, road for us, it's been definitely a way of us just kind of testing and learning. So when we started off building DeepIntent back in maybe 7 years ago, we had actually had one focus, and that was to focus deeply on building products and technology that can connect health data with media, do that in a privacy-safe way. And that playbook that worked for digital and programmatic worked extremely well, and that's why we're all here today, so thank you. But as we've started over the last year to start to really zero in and start to really try to build solutions for CTV, we realized that these problems that we're facing are not simply technology problems. The problems that we're facing can't just be solved with better tech, better data. They are actually business problems. And this might be obvious to a lot of folks here, but that was a big realization for me, just as I've started to understand and learn more about the television space. So the way I think about the things that we have learned as a company over the past 3 years kind of fall into three main buckets. We have process, technology, and people. And these are where, if you take all the issues that we see and kind of the friction that's happening at the adoption of CTV, all the problems can more or less be cleanly bucketed into one or more of these topics in these buckets. So on the first hand, in terms of process, we all know that the fragmentation of media is incredible right now. I mean, you can stream and access content across multiple devices, multiple apps, multiple platforms, and there's more choice than ever on how you actually can consume streaming television. Then there's, of course, the transactional fragmentation, whether it's through an upfront, through scatter, through programmatic, through multiple partners, managed service, self-service. I mean, the amount of ways that you can access this inventory is only growing even more, just due to that fragmentation. But last but not least, and we know, and if you're watching and following the news with the industry joint the JIC, right, and then just the fights with the incumbents, we are seeing tension over the definition of currency, right? And so the currency fragmentation is also a problem in preventing us to actually help create and actually establish a basis for performance. So these are the problems that generally in the process category, they also transcend some of the others, but generally that's how we look at how the process is broken. Too much fragmentation. The second big area is the technology. Look, any device that is IP enabled can be measured, can be targeted, right? I mean, that's a matter of fact. We know this from digital. And the reasons why we can't actually bring that into slower adoption, that's not because the technology doesn't exist. That's because the business hasn't evolved fast enough to adopt that technology, or the technology providers haven't been flexible enough to actually be able to think about solving these problems in an innovative way and a way that can solve for business problems. And that's what I'm excited to talk to you guys a little bit about later in this presentation. So the third category is the people. I think we all know from experience the way that our teams, clients, brands, agencies, and even technology companies like ourselves, the way we have been organized has been fragmented as well, and we lack a common language. The amount of alphabet soup that's out there is mind-blowing. And there's different alphabet soups if you're in the linear investment teams or if you're in the streaming teams, right, or the programmatic teams. So we got to find and establish common language between all these teams and actually be deliberate with how we're organizing people to take advantage of these opportunities. So my team will hear me say this every so often, and probably more frequently than they like to care, but that connected TV, the way we need to think about this going forward is really about collaboration, right? So take that C in CTV and think about how are we going to collaborate as a company, as a team, as an industry to lay the foundation for how then we're going to create and build new solutions on top of. There's a lot of new tech coming our way, and we're trying to make that tech accessible and apply it to this area, but if we don't have a steady and firm foundation, we will not be able to be successful. And so hopefully the conversations that we have today will help facilitate those discussions. So in the spirit of collaboration, I would love to take the next couple slides and walk you through at a very high level what our strategy as a company is going to be for CTV. That strategy has evolved quite a bit, and I think this will be clear when I show you this new approach. So take 1 year ago, we started really focusing on, and we've obviously been very focused on our healthcare DSP. Our healthcare DSP, of course, as you know, one of the leading DSPs for healthcare. We're very proud of what we built. We continue to think and really believe that we're at the forefront of what's possible at that intersection of health data and AI. We think that this is obviously a very important part of what we do and will continue to be. But the thing that we learned is that given the way that CTV is bought today and just television in general, what worked in the past and what worked for our DSP was not going to be directly applicable and could not be applied to the way that our clients and customers were buying television and are currently buying television. So we heard a lot from our clients about the need for flexibility and the need for us to provide optionality to take all the great tools that ironically we've built all the hard stuff and then take that and make those tools available in other platforms and other partners. So what I'm happy to announce today is that we have heard you, and we are going to be announcing the launch of our DeepIntent operating system. And so over the next couple weeks, next couple months, you'll be seeing a lot of partners launching solutions that will have the powered by DeepIntent capability underneath the hood. So you'll be able to buy campaigns and invest in these campaigns with solutions powered by DeepIntent. I'll walk through a couple of examples, but let me first walk you through the why, right? And let's talk a little bit more about what the operating system actually is. At the core of our DSP and what we've built over the last several years is the ability, like I said, to connect health data with media in a privacy-safe way. That's not an easy task to do, and not every company can do that. Many can't. It takes a lot of tech, takes a lot of expertise, and takes a lot of time. But that core idea, right, and that core concept of connecting health data with media is something that we've obviously invested a lot in, and now that has been historically tightly coupled with our DSP. What the healthcare operating system is, it's simply decoupling and then installing smartly into other platforms and solutions and capabilities. So for now, for CTV partners, strategic partners of ours, we're now going to be opening up our two very key capabilities. One is our suite of audiences, which everybody here knows are HCPs, our patient modeled audiences. Those will all be available across all integrated partners. And then on the other side is our measurement solution, which I think most people here know about DeepIntent outcomes, that will now be able to measure across multiple platforms. So before we get into the examples of where this is happening, I do want to paint an example of the performance you can expect. So raise your hand. Who here remembers Intel Inside, that phrase? Okay, all right, seems like most. So the idea here is that when you see a powered by DeepIntent on an offering, it's going to be the equivalent of what's the Intel Inside, okay? You can have the trust and confidence that the performance, that you are buying something that's tuned for performance for healthcare, that's going to be vertical specific. So we actually ran a test here with our partner Roku, and what we did is we just said, hey, look, what is the performance impact that we can expect when a partner is buying a product that's powered by DeepIntent? So with Roku, we took, for one of their brands, we took a direct buy that they currently were working with, and then we took the same brand and we ran it with the DeepIntent OS solutions, including the measurement and the targeting side. And what we saw here is when we were able to power that buy, we saw a 4.2x increase in performance as defined by AQ, and we saw a 2.5x increase in verified patient reach. Same budget. So the opportunity here that you can see is that we are dialing in and helping to make the old way of transacting more efficient, more effective, and ultimately better performance for both the buyer and the seller. So speaking of the buy and sell side, we also, this operating system will be available to both, because we realize that on the transaction, or in the transaction, both sides need that power of intelligence for different reasons. So one of the solutions here, we're just a week or two ago, Publicis had their health front. At the health front, they discussed a new partnership that we have just unlocked with Epsilon, which is obviously their data company, where they had announced that they are going to be launching Epsilon Health, powered by DeepIntent. So as many people here know, Epsilon is an incredible company of great data. What we've done is we have partnered with them now specifically to help initially power their advanced television activations, and then that will be rolled out to others. But basically what they came to us with is a problem. Hey, we're struggling to unlock healthcare use cases using our data. Can you help us do that? And of course, we have the solution, we have it built. This represents a strategy of the operating system strategy. So what we did is we took our modeling capabilities, we took their data, and now we're going to be rolling out different segmentations that they can then activate on across their agencies and across their clients. So very excited about this. On the flip side, we are seeing the same interest from our supply partners. Happy to say here, and I know Serge, you're in the crowd somewhere, I can't see you, but we're over the next couple of weeks, LG Ads will be launching their LG Ads Health solution. So for, again, similar reasons, having the ability to take existing assets and then embed that intelligence. LG is actually one of the fastest growing OEMs, specifically in healthcare. We actually got the data from SMI, if you guys are familiar. And SMI actually showed that for LG, I think it was like 1,000% growth year-over-year. It's crazy. Behind the scenes of that growth, we were optimizing and helping LG power those buys, which is exciting. That was the DeepIntent operating system. But the goal here is that now when you buy an LG, and you're buying an LG media product, that you'll have preferred reach, leveraging all the value that LG brings across their 35 million screens, their 275 fast channels. All that great stuff that you're buying will now have the power and the intelligence of DeepIntent behind it. And those can be bought either directly or they can be bought through self-service platforms, doesn't matter. We're going to be there to help. So we're super excited about that. And so as we continue to kind of push forward here, and there will be, like I said, a lot more products, a lot more solutions, partners coming out with DeepIntent powered by solutions. We're going to keep focusing on pushing the ball forward and really pushing the industry forward on what's possible within our DSP. Our DSP is going to continue to be at the bleeding edge of what's possible at that intersection that I mentioned before. We have a lot of great tech. I'm going to show you guys some things that we're building today, which is going to hopefully set the table for a really good set of discussions in the future. But again, our point here with the DSP is to continue focusing to prove what is possible and then help translate those into the operating system across other platforms and products. So what I'm really excited about today is that we are launching a new product called Performance TV. So this will be the first time that as a industry that a solution will be available where now you can buy guaranteed patient reach. This is going to be, in my opinion, game-changing for the way that buys are conducted. And this can be done in conjunction and is extremely complementary with the direct buys that you'll be buying through our partners like LG Ads and Roku and others. So the point here is that we'll guarantee the reach. There'll be a cost per unique patient reached, and that will be available, and you can access it across all premium inventory partners. Some of the logos here are mentioned. And because it's denominated by Komodo Health data, we're going to offer outcomes data for free as part of that. So you're going to get the intelligence of DeepIntent outcomes. You're going to get the risk-free performance by our guarantee. And ultimately, you're going to be able to access great quality inventory at low risk, right, and high impact. So we're super excited about this. I'm more than happy to talk about that after the event. So on the topic of new innovations, that, in my opinion, is going to change the way things are transacted. But what about the people who are actually hands-on keyboard inside the DSP? We all know, we have all heard over the last several months of the emergence of large language models and generative AI. There's a lot of opportunity to take those technologies and apply them to the massive amounts of data that we have within our platform. And so what makes me super excited, because I'm a dork and I love AI and that's my whole background, we're going to be announcing DeepIntent Copilot in the coming months. And I'm going to show you a quick demo of what that is, just so that you guys can understand what to expect. So for those who are familiar with our whole value prop, right, everything we do is powered by data science to some degree. And so within the 3 buckets of how we think about our DSP, we have planning, we have activation, and measurement, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take Copilot and infuse it into each one of those buckets. For those who have seen our patient planner, it's an incredible product that allows us to start pre-planning and actually assess things like audience quality in advance of running a campaign. Clients are going to be able to look at and actually see the performance of each audience segment that they may activate and be able to actually get recommendations in real time about what segments to use for whatever goal it is, whether it's reach or performance. These recommendations will be available in the planner. You can activate them with one click into the DSP. Within the activation pillar, we understand it's hard to get the insights, right? And it's hard to actually understand what's happening in all of those data within your campaign. We're going to simplify that in a really, really easy to understand timeline view that will pull out key nuggets of insights about what's happening in your campaign, but not even just stopping there. We're going to also propose recommendations for actions that you can take within the platform to increase your performance. Last but not least is the measurement. Obviously, DeepIntent Outcomes has a tremendous amount of ability to see what's happening with your campaigns with respect to real-life outcomes. Within this new module, we'll be able to show you recommendations on what you should be doing on a tactical basis to move and understand what's actually performing versus the baseline of your campaign to see what you should be doing and get recommendations for how to improve performance. We're super excited about this, primarily because what we're doing, and I'll give you a real-life example, what we've done under the hood is we've taken all this great data, demographic data, right, and different performance data sets. We've mixed them all together, stirred them in a pot. And as an example, what we understood is for a campaign that we were running, it just so happened that a Spanish-speaking bilingual household was overperforming by 30% versus campaign baseline. Typically, that type of insight you would have received maybe months after a campaign. That insight was something that we delivered in literally less than a day. So now traders and planners can take those insights and then do what? Right? Obviously, they want to modify their plan. Instead of going and thinking about how to modify that plan, we're going to propose recommendations directly into the Copilot so that traders and planners can then say, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to take that audience and activate them on Univision. That was the insight that we delivered to our client. So you can tell here that if in the history of what we've done is centered around health data at the middle, over time, point solutions have been developed, right, in planning, activation, and measurement. But now the real value of DeepIntent in this chapter moving forward is the connections between those. Being able to take those insights, make them actionable, and put that in the hands of our clients to be better with their campaigns. So I am so excited. Hopefully you guys are at least a little, excited about what I just showed you guys. I see some nods. Thank you. See you. Appreciate you. Obviously it's been a lot of work to do this, and again, the future is really bright. But I'm going to stop talking now. This is our core belief, and so in the spirit of driving better patient outcomes, We have a great list of panelists coming here. They're going to engage with you and host a really good discussion. I'll cede the floor to them, but I appreciate everybody here spending their afternoon with us. So thank you so much.